Today on Yeti at Large, lessons learned from our first full week of cold weather camping.
This is Yeti at Large, a channel focused on making the most of what you have, no matter where you're at. Let's go. This video is a recap of our 8-day, 1,500-mile, 3-state mountaintop new RV and truck torture test.
All right, we're coffeed up and fueled up and ready to go. Now, the first thing people would say, you went to Idaho at the end of October and November. Yeah, and you're surprised it's cold. The temperatures are actually unseasonably cold. Typically, it can get into the 40s overnight. This week, we've been experiencing in the teens. The minute I leave, it's forecasted to go right back to the 40s. So this is good for our stress test. We're trying to do a week of cold weather camping to see how our RV performs. And the RV has officially earned her name. We'll reveal that at the end. We're going to build a heated hose. I'm going to build a version of a hose that we have used successfully for years on stationary trailers. They don't travel well. I believe it's very safe. You make your own decisions and do not do what I say and have it not work for you. Always attempt and perform work within the scope of your ability. So we're going to go over some lessons learned on our first trip, especially into a cold weather environment. Let's get started. There is another Alliance Avenue in the park here. I haven't said hi to them yet, but I'm very impressed at the skirt system they have all the way around the base. So for our DIY heated hose application, we're using split foam insulation of a good diameter. We're going to use proper electrical tape, and then we're going to seal it up with Gorilla Tape. I don't like the wrap foam insulation because it tends to hold water. Our heat wire is of a very specific length, very specific wattage, very specific amperage. Make sure that your application suits your needs. This is not a how-to, this is just one example. You do need to be very careful that many RV parks may regulate or prohibit the use of heated hoses in cold weather, so know and follow the rules. This wire is rated for PEX, ABS, PVC. The hose that we're using is a commercial grade Goodyear rubber rated to 150 psi with commercial fittings. Again, we're going to cut it to the exact length and install this wire consistent with the manufacturer's instructions. These books may seem a little tedious, but there's a lot of great information in here, and we're going to follow it to the T. So let's get started. So here we are halfway through our assembly, following the directions very closely. Never pull your electrical tape, always cut it. Put it snug, but don't stretch it. You can see I've left quite a bit of lead for my GFI enabled plug, and I'm going to leave the safety cord on here. The thermostat is in direct contact with the water delivery system, and I have about 8 wraps here and about 4 all the way down. Their wrapping schedule called for every 6 inches. I probably went closer to every 4 just to make sure. And at the end where I'm going to have the most handling of this pipe, I went ahead and did the last foot with 4 wraps all the way around. Not twisting, not wrapping, not looping, and not doubling back the warm wire at all. Let's get our insulation on it. So now that we have our hose assembled, we're going to go through. I'm pretty fanatical about replacing washers when they get divots on them. They're so cheap. It's such cheap insurance that I'm going to install new washers on the hose. I use a little bit of this valve grease, it's food grade, just to help stuff connect. If I can get a good watertight connect on these quick connects, I think it'll be a much more enjoyable experience setting up camp where this is going to get handled several times. So here's our completed hose. I've got a high grade exterior tape, Gorilla brand on here. This is the end that's going to go through the base of the RV where that little flower is. I anticipate it's going to get chewed up over time, so I switched the last part of the gentle insulation to a really heavy duty closed cell insulation. Some people call it a pool noodle, and I may add a few more schedules here just to protect this. But this is 12 feet long. When it's on the ground, it will not be coiled up. Nothing will be touching each other. The GFI plug is illuminated. Most pedestals, I believe this will reach. If it doesn't, I have a 3-foot extension cord I can use for that. The one exposed end here, where it's going to connect to my pre-filter and my regulator and my water counter, I'm going to develop a sock that'll cover the whole thing to allow that heat to stay in there. And so here's the application. The pedestal's got GFI right here. It was a little bit short, so I used this 3-way cord to tie into their water supply heater, which the tape is really coming undone. When I uncamp and disembark, I'll throw some tape on there and repair that for them. But I'm able, with my sock that I'm going to build, get my water in through my whole system. I've installed a quick connect here. Here is my heated hose. And again, it's not coiled up on the ground, and it's going up and through the basket. I've got my wear insulator, and then a quick connect right there where it's not dripping. And as you can see, I'm configured for city water supply. So this has got 45, 50 PSI. Another lesson learned. This straight nozzle for my gas supply hose on my griddle is really in the way. I want to put a 90 on that. So now, by installing this 90-degree angle, the hose runs along the frame, stays out of the way. I'm going to clean up this rough edge when I get home, put a pop rivet on that, and then I'll put a holder right here to leash that hose. Then it will drop down to under the RV to our quick connect with our separate shutoff and our cap here. Another lesson learned is in very cold weather, these gauges on my propane tanks don't necessarily work great. In the cold weather, these gauges read low because the propane compresses. So what may be difficult to see is there's no frost line on this tank. So it quite possibly could be completely empty. And I don't know if you can see it on the other tank. The frost line starts right about there. See that? That's indicating to me that there's a propane level right about there. Old-fashioned methods. So I'm going to make sure that my tank selector is set for this tank, even though the gauge is reading empty. Let's go see if we have propane. Trust the frost. So I love the gas stove, love how reliably it lights, but the difference between high and low is all in this tiniest little adjustment here, and there's this slack in the knob that does nothing. Pretty small issue, just takes a little getting used to. This may seem super fundamental to some people, but you do know this door lock will let you out of here when the deadbolt's released, but still be locked on the outside. Especially when you're traveling alone, especially when you're cooking. Don't ever go outside of the RV without your keys on your person. I now have a key in my wallet that I leave in there, but you may not have your wallet on your person. So we came up with one more safety measure. By regulation, your propane compartments cannot be locked for safety personnel to be able to access the tanks in an emergency. I went out and got one of these real estate lock boxes, and I hang it over here on the propane thing, and I'm keeping a spare key in that so I can access that by combination at all times. And no, that's not my combination. That's just for Mongo and Ryan to let them know I'm out of here. These marks reappeared almost instantly, and they're continuing to grow. We cleaned them off completely from the dealership, and you can see they're smudgy and greasy. My concern is that's the gasket rubbing itself to death, and it's an adjustment issue on the slide. In the Nautilus closet, backflow preventer, this relief valve for the power flush. I have a quick connect I'm going to add to there. Same with the hookup here. Little valve grease keeps that O-ring nice and doped up. But does anybody notice something here? My tanks are clearly mislabeled. When I pull this handle on the gray tank, which by the way at the end of the throw it's very crunchy, I really hope my gray water isn't that color. My dishwater shouldn't look like that, and this black tank comes out absolutely clear. Can anybody in the comments confirm what the organization of their tank labels are? So being a YouTuber and an RVer, I follow Josh the RV nerd. I love his channel, love his stuff, and I've learned a ton from him. And so I happen to be here at one of his outlets, Bish's RV, and I'm here on Halloween. So we've got Darth Maul over there, I've got aliens piggybacking people, and I've got a fellow over here dressed as a referee. We got Power Rangers, Wonder Woman, and this is kind of a fun thing. Now Josh, I'm from Arizona. We don't have any Bishes down there. So how cool that Bish's RV in Twin Falls, Idaho is doing trick-or-treating. As you can see, I came to buy a little bit of swag. Staff here, after learning that I was fanboying on Josh the RV nerd a little bit, set me up with this hat. The costumes here are absolutely amazing. You have Day of the Dead, and the kids are having a ball. Now, it might seem a little strange to fanboy at a RV dealership, but I gotta tell you, these folks run a different program. I nearly bought from them, given the opportunity. I was gonna drive 2,000 miles to buy an RV. My local dealer Affinity matched my cost, and I wound up buying more local, but I would have gladly bought my RV at Bish's. Run a good program. I gotta get ready for travel day tomorrow though, so let's get back and get the RV squared away. It's travel day. It's in the teens, it's still dark, and it's windy. Did as much as I could the night before, but I wanted to take a shower this morning and be on shore power and flush tanks and water and all that. So I did everything this morning to get loaded up and ready to roll. Take your time when you're cold and you're miserable. It'd be easy to take shortcuts. Here comes an ambulance. Travel day dilemma I haven't quite solved. I run the fronts at 60, the rears at 80. It's in the teens here in Idaho, and right now I'm showing the rears just under 70 and the fronts just over 50. I've got some city driving to do, so I won't be doing more than 35, 40. I'm going to watch that carefully and see if they warm up. We can make adjustments if we need to, but I don't want to adjust them to that cold pressure and then have them get hot and go to 90 or higher. Checking those tire temperatures, I look for the consistency. This sunny side are all the same, but the shade side is about 15 to 20 degrees cooler. So we're just around the corner from home. The odometer says 1,462 miles, 8 days, 3 states, several 6,000 and 7,000 mountain peaks, a few 1,000 foot valleys, below freezing temps, construction, animals, wind advisories, accidents, rush hour traffic, 2 RV parks, boondocking, and we're at the end of our first torture test of our Alliance Avenue 32 RLS. We're going to take a day and we're going to go over the list of what went really well. It's long. Where there were some improvement opportunities, there's a couple. What we learned, I gotta tell you, I am 100% hooked on the RV experience, the fifth wheel lifestyle, and I am looking forward to regrouping and hitting the road again soon. Let's get this parked without finding one of our fence posts on our driveway. It's a pretty tricky backing scenario.
Thank you so much for coming along and helping out. We're posting a video real soon about our boondocking experience at the Pahranagat National Wildlife Refuge. Absolutely gorgeous place. You've got to make it on your list of items when you're out west. Please like, subscribe, and share this channel with a friend. Yeti at large.